Thank goodness. I know you could feel that portal open, Mara, because you coughed the second it did. I am supposed to make my outwardly bizarre comment more understandable. I said 9 o'clock, thank God. What I meant is not that I was grateful that it was 9 o'clock, but that it felt so wonderful when the portal opened. Portal opened at 9 o'clock. Whew! The flood of truth comes in. Thank God. Thank God. Thank you, God. So let's simply align with it. My tendency, if I were to get sloppy in my phrasing right then, I would say something like bathe in it. But that was not the correct word, because that sounds much more passive than the actual effective action. The effective action is to align with the flow of truth and love, to come into harmony. To come into harmony with it. Whereas bathing in it is a more passive feel. Does that make sense? When we are so passive, are we giving Source much to match? Not much. Not much. When we just bathe in it, it's like a little baby, bathing. Not much to match, right? Not very effective. It's definitely better than not bathing in it. It's better than running around filthy. It is. But it's even more effective to actively intend to align with the vibrations of the higher dimensions, to align with the vibrations of spirit, to intend to align with it, to intend to come into alignment with it. And if we don't intend to, then it's better to stop pretending, because lying is the action that disconnects us fastest. So if we intend to just bathe in it, it's better to bathe in it. Does that make sense? But if we intend to align in it, that's where the powerful shifts occur. And so it's okay to just bathe in it. There are people who just want to bathe in it, and that's okay. It's okay. Does that make sense? We're not all harsh or judgy. If they want to bathe in it, they can bathe in it. They can. On the other hand, if they want to align with it, we help them. We say, okay, now deepen the merge. Channels up. Get your upward flow going. Because that's how we actually can align with it. Does that make sense? Not that that's the only way of aligning with it, but that's the way that we have been taught works best. That's the way that we have been taught works best. And since we continually intend to make it better, like I'm actively in the hunt of always how to make it even better. You get that, right? You guys get that, right? I'm not getting caught up in some weird idea that it's already as good as it can get. How can we make it better? Finally, after 6 years, the upward rising energy explanation is working a little bit better, because that wasn't working at all. Let's face facts. The truth was always there, but the explanation was inadequate. Yes? Right? Right. So let's stand on a volcano, all of us right now. Our own individual volcanoes. Each of us on our own life paths, in our own spot, on our own volcano. Everybody's got their own right place. And if you want to just bathe, you don't have to stand on a volcano. I'm not trying to imply that you should. I'm not. Free will. It's okay to just bathe. But if you want to align, power it up, baby. Right? There we go. Some will and some won't. Some will and some won't. We love them all. It doesn't matter. We're not criticizing them. We're not judging them. We can look at what's actually happening and love people anyway. Does that make sense? Focusing vertically in this process right now, not to say that it will be vertical through this whole 30 minutes. I don't know about that. I don't know whether or not it will stay vertical, but right now it's vertical. Have the intention to find the balance. Like, didn't say that well. Let me try again. Have the intention to improve the balance of upward and downward flow inside your pillar. Have the intention to improve the balance of upward and downward flow. We can always make it better. There's always a way to make it better, and for each of us it might be it is individual what we need right now. And if you want to just bathe, you can also just bathe. I'm not trying to, so if you're in the hut to align, then improve the upward and downward flow. If your intention is to simply bathe, it's better to acknowledge, I simply intend to bathe, and do that. Does that make sense? Than to lie to ourselves. There we go. That helped. Good job. Much better. Much better. Much better. So that is your soul energy coming back in. Congratulations. That's right. That's right. It's your soul energy coming back in. We can do it. The first time is the hardest time. I am incorrect. That is incorrect. That is a big fat lie. As it turns out, that is a big fat lie. The first time is not the hardest time. The second time is harder. Because the first time, we don't know how bad it's going to sting. We just jump in, right? The second time we know, whew, that's going to burn. We have to choose to do it anyway. Or not, like we don't have to choose to do it anyway, but in order for it to occur again, we must choose again. Does that make sense? The first time is actually not the hardest time. Isn't that fascinating? I always thought the first time would be the hardest. But this kind of fits the fact pattern. Right? That is a wonderful tweak. Thank you. Thank you. The second time is the hardest time. And after that it gets easier because you already know it's going to sting like heck, right? And you also know that you can do it more than once, right? If you can do it twice, you can do it 3 times, right? So, as it turns out, the second time is the hardest. Thank you. That was very helpful information. Thank you so much. I'd like to ask for some support right now, and I'm going to set the firm intention to dive in again, baby. Anyone who wants to join me, you can. On the count of 3, I'm just going to hold my nose and dive on in, okay? If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, totally fine, no pressure. Your own body. Bring the soul into the body. Be the soul and come into the body. Be the soul and come into the body. Does that make sense? It's the intention right now. I, rephrase, have that intention. Join me if you wish. Don't join me if you don't wish. And don't lie to yourself about what you want. Because that's the worst, most disconnecting action you can take, is to lie to yourself. So if you don't want to dive in, don't pretend that you do. Just bathe. Just bathe. Does that make sense? But if you want to dive in, I'm going to count to 3 and I'm going to hold my nose and dive into the stinky garden hose. Okay? You can do it too with your own stinky garden hose. Not this one. This one's mine. Does that make sense? Okay. Does anyone need a little bit of prep time? Bathe in the energy first a little bit? Or are you ready to dive in? Okay, on the count of 3, friends, whoever wants to and whoever doesn't, there's no judgment. Goodness gracious, you've already come so far. There's no pressure to continue beyond the space at which you feel, I can't go any farther. There's never been any pressure to do that. I have never said any of that. I've always said, you can engage with this however you wish. Be a client if you wish. Take a class lightly if you wish. Dive in if you wish. Become certified if you wish. Choice, 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 choice. But what I have said at every step of the way is, tell the truth. Be honest to yourself and to the world around you. Right? Be honest. So, decide right now, am I happy bathing, or do I want to dive on in once more for another go-round? I already know it's going to sting. But I also know I did it before and I can do it again. So here we go, friends. Standing on the edge of the pool. Can you feel your toes gripping the concrete thing at the edge of the pool? We're getting ready to jump into the pool of life, into our own smelly, stinky garden hoses, which are our body minds. And that's not a judgment, you see? It's simply a differentiation between how it is in the higher dimensions, as a free-flying soul, and how it is in a body mind, right? That's all. So let's dive on in on the count of 3. Here we go now. We can hold hands if we want. Right? Feels pretty good. You feel that, right? Is that awesome? On the count of 3 here. 1, 2, 3, go! Ha! Better do a little bit of ring around the rosy right now, friends. Don't let go of hands right yet. Let's just ring around the rosy as we settle down. Clockwise this time. Clockwise this time. Clockwise this time. Coming in. Clockwise. Clockwise. Ring around the rosy clockwise. Okay? Clockwise. Better? Now I'm pulsing the vortex around us, all of us. Pulsing the vortex. Letting the living waters flow around us. Remember, we're all encased in a huge pillar. We are. You can feel it, right? That big pillar that we're all inside of? You can feel it, right? It's safe inside of here, isn't it? Does that pillar have its channels up? They say, well, you know, not at the finest levels, but at a functional level. At a functional level, it's good enough for now. It wouldn't be good enough for now if that pillar got lazy and said good enough, right? It wouldn't. There would be no grace, right? There we go. There would be no grace. Does that make sense? Because there wouldn't be the effort going into it. Better? All the wisdom traditions in the world say the same thing, fundamentally. Let go of the ego. Reconnect to a higher source.